Probably out signing with a new sponsor. You think her underwear is sponsored? Of course it is. She can't even eat anything unless it's sponsored by the right company. When she poops, it comes out wearing that sponsor's name. They laughed. Sophie gave them a look, then went to sit with someone else. She tried smiling at a girl named Brittany, thinking maybe she could be her friend. But Brittany rolled her eyes and turned her head away. Sophie exhaled and looked down at the floor while one of the leaders, Miss Michaela, explained what they were going to do for the next couple of days. The camp was right next to a spring, and tomorrow they were supposed to go canoeing. Sophie had been looking forward to that part, but there had to be 2 girls in each canoe, and she knew none of them would choose her. They're just jealous, her mother had told her over and over again all through her childhood when things like this happened. It didn't make things any better that she was chosen as Surfer of the Year by Ron John's Surf Shop, and they had her displayed on their billboards all over town. All the adults thought it was so cool, but the kids, not so much. The neighborhood's girls had mocked her and told her she looked fat in the picture, and that their parents would never allow them to be on display like that for child abductors to see and get crazy ideas. "Does your mom want you to be kidnapped?" a girl named Victoria who lived on her street had asked. "Of course not," another girl named Allison had said. "She's planning on living off her money for the rest of her life. Sophie is her golden goose, remember?" "That's right," Victoria had answered. "Now that your dad left, she's counting on you to provide for her. That's why she's pushing you so hard. At least that's what my mom says." Sophie felt anger rise inside of her when thinking about those girls. What did they know about her life anyway? "All right, next up is a bonfire," the leader said and clapped her hands. "Yay!" the girls exclaimed. "S'mores!" "And scary stories," Miss Michaela said, then looked at Sophie, who didn't get up when the others did. She walked to her and reached out her hand toward her. "You can sit by me," she said with a wink. Sophie felt relieved. She hated to constantly sit alone. She grabbed Miss Michaela's hand in hers, then got up. "To tell you the truth, I don't really like scary stories either," she said, smiling. "But don't tell anyone." Sophie didn't mind the stories, but she was happy that someone had finally spoken to her, so she simply nodded and held the hand tightly in hers. At the bonfire, she stayed close to Miss Michaela, trying hard not to pay any attention to the other girls. As they sang songs and roasted marshmallows for the s'mores, she thought about her mom and how she was going to call her in the morning and tell her she had made up her mind. Coming here had been a mistake. She wanted to go home. But she would at least finish the night. One night here could hardly hurt her. They had barely finished their s'mores when a loud thunderclap surprised them, sounding almost like the sky cracked above them. Seconds later, the rain came down hard and soaked their clothes. "Quick, everyone go to your tents," Miss Michaela yelled. Sophie ran to hers and rushed inside, then closed it up. The sound of the rain on top of it was comforting. She had slept in tents many times in her life when going to surf contests when they had to stay the weekend. It was the cheapest way for them to stay the night, and usually they would find a local camp and set up the tent. None of her friends knew this about her, how much she had to go through to get to where she was, even sleep in tents on frozen ground in the wintertime when they attended contests up north. But back then, her mother couldn't afford a hotel room like many of the other contestants, not when it was almost every weekend that they went somewhere. In the beginning, when she'd started to surf, they'd only done the local contests in Central Florida, but as she got better, she was soon invited to bigger contests out of state, sometimes all the way in California, and that soon became very expensive for her mother. Yes, she would win money if she won, but that wasn't a given, especially not in the beginning when she was so young and new to it. It wasn't until she made the big leagues that the money started to come. That was when she got commercial contracts, too, modeling for surf products and swimwear. That was where the money was. Sophie grabbed her sleeping bag and opened it, then slid inside of it, thinking about her mother. They were really close, since she was usually always with her wherever she went. Being away from her was a lot tougher than she had expected. Sophie zipped up the sleeping bag.